Thank you, everyone. Very lovely present introductions. Just a 1 minute introduction for me. 大家好，我叫许佳明. That's my name in chat. 嗯，我的家人是台山人，呃，我们会说国语、广东话和台山话。So that's why I can sort of speak, and that's why I have really interest in learning about uh, Chinese culture, especially Southern uh, Cantonese culture. So yeah, my last name is Xu. We come from
True.
Soipo. It
Yeah.
is a very small village in Taishan, and I see someone that has my last name. Hello, cousin. Hello.
True.
We are related by some way.
Yeah.
But yes, nice to meet everyone here. I don't really have too much teaching experience other than I did teach Guangdonghua for about 1.5 years. In early quarantine, I did teach that, and yeah, that's the only experience I have. But no, I'm very excited to teach everyone English, and
Yeah.
very good opportunity for me to learn more about my language.
It's very nice to having you today.
Thank you. I did want to say I did like your profile picture. I know that song. I listen to that all the time.
Good. Good.
Okay. Ha. Okay. So, if everyone can see my screen, our
Yes.
topic today is survival English, and the subtopic is directions and public transit. Hopefully, you can use this guide if you are ever in a situation in which you need to use English in order to get around, or if you're lost, or you need to get from point A to point B. And hopefully, after this, you will know how, or at least know a little bit more than you already did. So, some vocabulary. Can someone shout out or type in the chat? What do you think public transit means? It's a new word for us. Public transit. Can we maybe have Chris? Can you please tell us what public transit is, or do you know what it means?
Chris, do you know what is public transit? Chris, 亮宇,周亮宇. Or maybe we can have Ashley to answer it for us. Actually,
It's like things I don't know how to say. It's like maybe MRT or something like that.
That's a
yeah,
good one. I see someone else said MRT. That is a good example of what public transit is. So, public transit. So, we know what public means. Public, or if you don't know what it means, public is talking about like us as a society, like people, basically, the people, public. And then transit is a shortened version of transition. So, we know what a transition means. A transition means like to move from one to another or from this to that. So the public transitioning, so public transit. So a lot of people moving. That's basically what it means. Or you could say public transportation. That's another great term you can add to your vocabulary. So some examples of public transit. Can anyone give me any examples? I heard people say MRT. That's a very good one. We can get maybe a few, like two more. Anyone? Sean. Either of them. if you guys want to shout out what is one example of public transit. Oh, and one of them left.
What about Sean Xu?
Oh, someone raised a hand. Yes.
Okay.
Railway.
Railway. Yep, that is one. Thank you. Um, so we have
Well, Sean is
rail.
back.
Okay. Hello, Sean. Can you please name uh okay, Sandy said bus. That's a really good one. Can you please name one more public transit if you know any? So we have railway, we have MRT, we have bus. Anything else you can think of, Sean? Anyone want to give him a little help?
Plan?
I would put that in the maybes, but I like where you're going with that. I would say maybe another example would be like taxis. Taxi services are good public transit, or like a Uber or Lyft. That's more now modern. But no, thank you very much. But yeah, I wouldn't, because airplanes are more like and boats. They're in those same categories. They're not really what we would get on every day. Every day. That's to move from one place to another.
Actually, we have a very special public transit in Taiwan, which is Taiwan High Speed Rail. It's kind of a rail, but it's more faster, and people usually get it to another places in Taiwan.
Wow. Yeah, we are in the process of building a high-speed rail, but ours are really bad. A lot of things we build are kind of bad, so it's okay. But anyway, thank you everyone who shared. So some phrases: to take, to ride a blank. So to take a ride a bus, to take a ride the rail, to take a ride the MRT, to take a ride the bus. So those two verbs, to take and to ride, are both available and applicable, meaning they're okay to use when you're talking about where you rode on to get to one place to another. So also some more vocab: to the left of and to the right of helps us describe on where a place is, and also in front of, behind, or in between. Also very good examples on how we can use those to get what to talk about from where to where. So let's set the scene. Can we have Rosalind or Rosaline, or is it Rosalind? Can you please read both paragraphs for us?
Okay. You have just arrived to a. I don't know this word.
It's okay.
Country.
Anglophone. I'll talk about it later. Anglophone.
For our purposes, let's say the United States. You now need to get from the airport to a hotel or a friend's house. The question is, how can you do this in English?
Thank you so much. So about that word that our friend Rosalind could not didn't know. Anglophone means it can describe a people or a region that speaks English. So you can think about it like phone, like a phone. We use we use it to talk. So Anglo refers to usually England. It used to the English people. It's an old word. So basically English phone or English speaking. That's basically what it means. And you can tie that into any language that you're talking about. Maybe French, francophone, French speaking people, French speaking area, sinophone, Chinese language speaking area. So that can be regardless, whatever language that is, but it falls under that category. So that's just another term you can add to your vocab. So right now, we're at the airport. You begin your trip in the United States at LAX. From LAX, you need to get to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. LAX is the Los Angeles International Airport, and the Ritz-Carlton Hotel is pictured right here. It's really expensive hotel. I just chose it because it's really nice looking. But hey, if you ever get to that point in which that's the kind of hotels you need to go to, or you have enough money to, then hey, don't forget me. um, so let's move on. So this is the map of LAX. This is where, for our purposes, where we are needing to be. As you can see that there is a few streets. The big street called Worldway goes all the way around. That is that connects all of the traffic going around, picking up anyone, people being dropped off of the airport. And there's usually a lot of signs there that tells you, pickups, drop-offs, what airline they need to be at. But for right now, let's focus on the parking structures. So let's see, we see P3, P4, P1, P7, P6, and there's other parking structures there. Those are where we are needing to be to get from LAX to the hotel. I do not recommend taking buses in America or trains because one, buses are really slow and it's going to take very time consuming. Trains, we don't have a lot of train or rail systems like they do in like Taiwan or Japan or the People's Republic of China. They're not that advanced, so just don't. Use a taxi, or cheaper, call an Uber. And I'll explain how we do that. So let's have Marcy, can you please read scene 2 for us? Hailing a transport. Can you please read that for us?
就是台股封关是不是会
Oh,
大部分
I'll call on someone else if something's going on. Ashley, can you please read scene 2 for us?
Scene hailing a transport. The taxi-like services have stayed somewhat the same in the last 20 years. The most common way of travel upon arriving to your desired destination would be using apps or city taxi services. They work very similarly.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So yeah, the old way the taxi services worked is that you had to call the taxi company, and this worked all around everywhere in the world. It worked very similarly. You had to call and tell them where you were, or there's usually like a place where you had to be at, and then they would send the location to a taxi driver, and you would get picked up, and then you tell the taxi man or woman where you needed to go. That's the old way. The new way is basically the same, but you use a phone and you type in where you need to go. So let's say we type in to Uber or Lyft, Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and you put your location on, and then a driver comes to you, and then you just get in, make sure that's your driver, and you just go. So very simple like that. So this leads into another cultural thing also. So we see a little map from here, from LAX to the Ritz-Carlton hotel. Very beautiful. Okay, scene 3, arriving at the hotel. Can we have, is that Yvetta? Is that how we say Yvetta? Can you please say this? If I'm pronouncing your name correctly, sorry.
Iveta.
Yvetta. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, can you please read the scene for us?
A word on tipping. Tipping is customary for any act of service such as taxi-like services. You can give a tip of whatever amount, usually For every $5, give $1 for the drug.
Thank you. So yeah, in America, we tip a lot. We do, there's a lot of situations in which we do tip. In the East, it's not really that common. So yeah, tipping is just a really way to show your gratitude for the service that you did receive. So in this case, you're basically showing with money that you're thankful that this person picked you up and dropped you off at your location. And like I say, a general rule that I would follow if you don't feel like calculating the exact tip, because usually it's like 10% all the way up to 25% kind of tip range. If you don't feel like calculating it, for every $5, give them $1. So let's say your trip costed you $20. Give them, why can't I do math? Give them $4. Wait, yes. Oh, goodness. So now we have arrived at our destination, Ritz-Carlton Marina del Rey. So we see it's in between the FedEx drop box on what we're looking at on our left, and on to our right is the Sea East Charters, and in front of the hotel is the Admaltra Way, and behind the hotel is the sea. So those are the vocab that we learned earlier we could use. So if you guys don't have any questions, let's move on very speedily to our next topic, English accents and dialects. This is a very linguistic topic. I'm not going to go too deep into it because, yeah, it gets confusing. Anyway, so what is the difference between an accent and dialect? I'm not going to ask for anyone to define it unless you do know, but I don't think you do because it's a very linguistic term. So I'll just give 10 seconds. Anyone want to unmute or type in what they think? Okay. So that's okay. Not everyone's a linguist, but right now we're going to be mini linguists together. So a dialect. So what is a dialect? Let's start with that. Can we have Xiang, was it Xiang Yuan? Can you
Yes,
please,
Xiangwen. Yes.
Xiang Wen, can you please read the first sentence for us?
The region's way of speaking, referring to grammar, spelling, vocabulary, and
Pronunciation. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's what a dialect is, as Xiang Yuan said. So it's a region's way of speaking, referring to grammar, spelling, vocab, and pronunciation. So all those four was what a dialect is. Same language, but just a different way of spelling, different way of vocab, different way of grammar. So for example, in English, in American English, we often have many terms for the same thing. And that's a dead giveaway for a different dialect. In the West, I would say soda, talking about carbonated drinks like Coke, Sprite, whatever. And that gets onto Coke. That becomes confusing. In the deep South, they say Coke, and that refers to literally everything that is carbonated and sweet. And in other places in the Midwest as well, and in other parts of the South, they say pop, because when you open it, it pops, sometimes, or it has that kind of sound. That's where it comes from. Pail and bucket. In the North, they mostly say pail. In the South, it's bucket. In the Western states, we mostly say bucket. The thing that you carry water in or milk. And you guys versus y'all, that's another example. So you guys, calling out to your maybe group of friends. Or in the South, we would say y'all, you all. And I have a little bit to say on dialects later. So this is a map of American English dialects. There's 7 major ones that linguists have said. These are all just generally that people fall in these clusters. This is basically how they speak. Like everyone speaks very similarly to this. So an accent. What is an accent? Can we please have Ash did Ashley go? I think she did. Well, Ashley, you can go again. Ashley, can you please, if you don't mind, the first sentence?
Oh, okay. An accent is a region's way of saying words not pertaining to grammar, spelling, or vocab. American and British English examples on Tuesday.
Oh, you just need to read the first sentence.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Thank you very much, though. So yeah, it's a region's way of saying words not pertaining to grammar or spelling or vocab. Right now, I'm speaking a very standard American accent. I have a very standard American accent because that's where I was raised. In the UK, they have their own different accents. The Scottish have their own way of saying things. In the South, the English, people that live in England have a different way of saying things as well. So an example would be, on Tuesday, I spread butter on my toast. Look at the underlined words and listen to how British English says that. On Tuesday, I spread butter on my bread or toast. So you can see that Tuesday sounds differently. Same word, not spelled any differently, but the pronunciation. And butter, it doesn't have those two D noises that American English has. So that's an example there. And also inventory, water, better, American way. In the British way, inventory, water, better. So the vowels change in water. I want you guys to notice that. And in better, the T's remain and they don't become D's. So that's a little bit of how you can tell, or you can tell that someone has a different accent from you, how the way they speak, and if they use different words for the same thing with the same meaning. So also on dialects, something that you guys may be familiar with, Taiwanese, Fujianhua or Taiwanhua. Those that speak it or those that hear it, you may say 多谢 for like thank you, right? In Fujian province and in Taiwan, that is prominent way to say thank you, 多谢. In the south, however, where Hokkien migrated with people, in the Philippines, in Malaysia, Indonesia, Cambodia, those places, you don't hear 多谢 a lot. It's only 感谢. That is what I've noticed. My aunt, she is from Indonesia. So when we speak Hokkien, or when I try to speak Hokkien to her, she says 感谢 always. And I'm like, and so for me, it's 多谢because I learned Taiwanese Hokkien younger. And so that's just an example to help you understand what a dialect is. A little more personal example. So if you guys don't have any questions, then I'm finished basically.
Anyone want to share? What have you learned today? What about Marcy?
I learned about dialect.
Very good. Well, if anyone has any questions about transportation or why I didn't talk about trains or buses again, you want me to reiterate, or if you want to learn how to, then I don't mind answering.
Or anyone want to share the Uber in Taiwan? What about Sean Huang? Or Sandy? Anyone? No? What about actually? Actually again, actually. Anything.
I don't really know.
You don't know? What about the Uber? Or tipping cultures in America?
I when I was in America, tipping was kind of a weird thing to me because, like in Taiwan, we don't really usually tip, and I think it's somewhat good and somewhat bad because the waiters and the places, the hotels, the taxis don't get paid enough, and we have to like pay them other fees just so they can live like in a normal life.
Yeah.
Actually, in Taiwan, if we finish our dinner and if the restaurant want us to pay the fee or some tipping, we will like get very angry or something.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, so I think there's a big differences. Yeah. What about Sean? Do you want to share what you have learned today about the accent? Sean? No? If no one have any questions, so I would like to thank the Zhao Ming
Right.
for giving us a very informative and knowledgeable presentation today.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. You guys were a
Thank
very good class. Yes.
So thank you very much.
I will see you at in a few minutes, right? Because they have to fill out their form.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, okay. Okay.